Hello everyone, this time we're going to have a little look at the selection topic from our human resources section. This follows on from already looking at the recruitment process. Now we're going to look at selection. How do we select the best candidate for a job based on them already having been recruited to the organisation? For most managers, they deal with one of two documents right at the beginning of the selection process. Many candidates might submit a CV, curriculum vitae, to the organisation. This is a document the candidate has made themselves and printed out, which will list all of their qualities and qualifications for the job. Some candidates might have also filled in an application form. This could be on paper, or more commonly now it's done online through a website or submitted by email. This gives the company a chance to ask some questions that all applicants will answer, and this makes it really easy for the manager to compare each candidate. After this process, most commonly managers would move towards selecting through an interview process. And there are really three different types of interview we consider, and you could in your answer decide to write about all three to get yourself some different marks. The first one is the most common interview, a one-to-one interview, where one manager will sit down with one applicant and ask them a series of questions, take some notes, and ask some important questions based on the answers given by the applicant. Some organisations will also use a panel interview. This is very common in professional jobs, maybe such as teaching, becoming a nurse, becoming a doctor. In a panel interview, one applicant will be asked questions by usually 2 or 3 different managers within an organisation. This ensures that there's no favouritism in the questions and that everyone agrees on the best candidate. For very busy organisations with a lot of applicants, they might use a group interview. This is very common for people who apply to college or university. They might attend a group interview. In a group interview, several candidates, maybe sometimes usually between 5 and 10 different people, will be perhaps given a challenge or a teamwork exercise or team questions, and they will work through them being observed by a number of managers. It's quite common, however, for some managers to move towards more modern techniques for selecting people for a position within a business. And very commonly now, we think of testing, sometimes after the interview process or sometimes completely replacing the process. Some organisations use aptitude testing. This is when they bring a candidate in and they will test their skills. Perhaps if you're applying for a job as a secretary, you may be asked to type a piece of work or to show your word processing skills. A teacher nowadays might be asked to teach a lesson as part of their selection process. Psychometric testing is very common in some professions, where they will give questions to assess the personality of the person applying for the job to check they'll fit in with the organisation. Fitness testing, that's tests of physical strength or endurance, commonly used for the armed forces and the police force. And sometimes intelligence testing, especially used nowadays for those applying perhaps to enter the medical profession. Or a lot of organisations, including call centres, will now give numeracy tests and literacy tests to their possible applicants. Usually once these processes are completed, the organisation will move to the reference stage, where they might have chosen some people and want to double check that all of the information they've given is correct. So they would write out perhaps a former school or college or a former employer, and they will ask them for some information about the candidate, just to double check that everything's correct. A job trial is often used, particularly for jobs in the hospitality industry, perhaps working in a restaurant or a bar. In a trial shift or a trial day, the employee works in the organisation, and at the end of the day, the manager will decide whether or not the employee has fitted in and seems skilled enough to begin with the organisation, or whether they've not been successful. Quite commonly at hire, you can be asked about assessment centres. Assessment centres are very common for people when they leave university courses now. At an assessment centre, the candidate will spend a day or 2 full days within the organisation with other applicants, perhaps being given a different range of tests, perhaps being given a different range of challenges, group work activities, to really see the real employee. It can sometimes be easy in an interview to answer the questions you've practiced, but this tests whether candidates can work well under pressure. Finally, the manager will hopefully be able to make an offer of employment to the person or people that they would like to employ, and at the same time they would also inform other applicants that they've not been successful on this occasion. If you need to know more about selection, now remember at hire you want to discuss each of these methods in a bit of detail. What are the good points and what are the bad? You can have a look at BBC Bite Size for hire business. You can perhaps get your success guide out, have a read through some of the information there or the class notes, and of course you can now look us up on Twitter. If you look up business at BHS on Twitter, you're going to find some important revision links and ask some important questions. Good luck!